Hello and welcome to the Responsive Family Sleep Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Hawley, holistic sleep coach, lactation consultant, peaceful parenting educator, and mom. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by all the conflicting sleep info, frustrated with sleep information that just plain felt wrong, or searched desperately for a truly gentle and responsive sleep approach, then you are in the right place. In each episode, we'll be answering your most pressing baby and toddler sleep questions, busting those sleep myths, and helping you understand truly developmental, biologically normal baby and toddler sleep, plus encouraging you to trust your intuition along the way. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This week we are going to talk about the pull and trap of comparisons. Comparing your baby or toddler sleep to your friends, your families, random babies on the internet, social media, whatever, and how comparisons can really be harmful. Now, I feel like I've been having this conversation a lot recently, and that's actually what brought it to my attention to do as a podcast episode. Sometimes I am having conversations with my clients a lot or just in life a lot. And I'm like, okay, I am talking about this a lot. Then maybe y'all want to hear some thoughts on it as well. So first, comparisons are natural to a certain extent, right? And we're all going to do them sometimes. So I just want to say that right off the bat. And I mean, we all do them, right? And I still sometimes do them with my own kids. And I know it's stupid. And I know it's not a good idea. And I know it's not helpful. But I just want to acknowledge that in case you're like, how am I supposed to not compare my baby to others? I don't think it's possible to completely avoid comparing your baby to others. Or maybe I'm just better at telling people to stop than I am at totally taking my own advice. I don't know. I have intense kiddos, right? So they're amazing and wonderful. But I definitely see lots of more easygoing, even-tempered children around me than my own. And that was true as babies and toddlers as well. Although my daughter was comparatively easier for her first few years than she was after 3. But that's a story for a different day. So, comparisons, right? I want to acknowledge a few things about sleep that are really important to keep in mind, right? First is there is a wide range of normal. And so there's going to be average, right? Average wakes at 6 months, 2 to 3. Average wakes at a year, 2. Average wakes at 24 months, 1, right? But average does not mean that being above average, like more wakeful than average, means there's something wrong or that we can necessarily get that individual child to the average at this moment in time, right? Just like if you have a baby that is waking once a night at 6 months and sleeping through the night, as a young toddler, that doesn't mean that you did something better to get that sleep, right? It's not a judgment. It's not a value judgment on how you're managing sleep or your child or your parenting or anything like that. It simply is who your child is and what their sleep looks like right then. Another thing I think is important is that we don't always see other people's whole reality. So someone might find sleep really easy. And then maybe learning to use the potty is horrific, right? For them. It's so stressful. They just have so much trouble. Or I don't know, learning to use a bike or having babysitters come in. I'm just picking random things. Or the opposite can be true, right? Like I have a friend who's had a really highly sensitive kiddo for sleep for the first several years, and potty training was like the easiest thing ever. And it was like karma was giving her a little gift of here is something that goes so much easier than you expected, right? So every parent can have areas that are harder and areas that are easier, and sleep's a really hard one to have be hard. Now, there's a wide range of normal, like I said, and I would say the two biggest predictors of how easily sleep comes or what that sleep journey looks like are your baby's temperament and if they have any extra medical health type concerns that disrupt sleep. And we cannot control their temperament. So if they're easygoing and even-tempered, right, then things are going to look different than if they're highly sensitive or highly alert, highly persistent, intense. Sleep's going to look really different. We can't control that. You did not create that. You cannot control that. You did not create that. That is going to strongly impact what sleep looks like in the early years. Like, same goes with medical stuff, right? If your kiddo has a lot of digestive issues or airway issues or allergies or, body tension issues, things that are causing discomfort or could be causing some disordered breathing, then we're going to have a different sleep journey, right? And while you could have the best supports available, not all these things are going to resolve quickly. And sometimes gathering the information that you need takes time, right? To get in to see the specialist or get in to get a sleep study or what have you, right? That stuff takes time. And so when we're thinking about what is reasonable to expect from our kiddo, we have to take all of that into account. And if you are looking at averages or your bestie's baby that's super chill and has always found sleep really easily, it can be really discouraging to be like, why can't my baby sleep like that? What am I doing wrong? Or what is wrong with them? Or why is nothing working? Right? And when we get that sort of mindset, we often overlook things that have improved or are improving, or areas where we can help ourselves, right? Get more sleep. And we massively overlook ways to meet our child where they are at, to celebrate who they are, and to sort of walk alongside them on what their journey is looking like, even when that's hard, right? To walk alongside them and find ways to make sleep easier for the whole family, right? That it's not going to look like average necessarily, but it still can be easier. We can still find ways to make things better. And so comparison, it just sends us down that spiral, and it can cause anxiety and it can cause resentment, and it just gets in the way of seeing our child through who they are. And, like I said, every once in a while it's going to creep in and you're going to go, why? What are these people with these babies that sleep through the night or, who can move through a transition and it's so simple? Or, gosh, when our kids were like 3, I'm like, how do people take kids out to dinner? Like my kids are all over the place. Just these things that you're like, I don't even understand your reality. It is so far away from mine. It happens, right? Acknowledge it, sit with it for a minute, just like we do with emotions, and let it go, right? That's my best advice. I don't know what a therapist would say or anything like that, but I mean, my oldest turns 12 in March, and that's just what seems to work best for me is like acknowledge it, sit with it, let it go. So try not to compare your baby to other babies. And that is a huge mindset practice. And it's something that you sometimes need to work on and keep bringing back to what works for my baby. Who is my baby? What is their history? What is their context? Is this fair for me to expect of them, right? And if it is people in particular who are making you inadvertently, not necessarily intentionally, but inadvertently feel bad and kind of lead you into that comparison, then how can you protect your space a little bit more, right? Maybe they're not the person to talk about sleep with. Maybe you can just ask them if they're good for and be like, hey, we have really different sleep experiences, and right now I'm feeling kind of raw about this. Can we not talk about sleep? If it's social media, goodness, unfollow people. You do not owe anybody your time and attention. And so if it is making you feel like, oh, what's wrong with my baby or my toddler? Bye. Like, unfollow. You don't need to be like wasting your energy on that.
And if it's family, well, I mean, that's way more complicated, right? But whatever you can do to just practice, this is my kiddo, I'm going to meet them where they're at, and we're going to work to make things better, easier, and to get more rest. We're going to walk our own path. We're going to do it our own way. And what works for these really babies who are very different than my baby is not going to be, the same thing as what works for my kiddo. So anyway, I hope you find that a little bit helpful. And I know how hard it is to compare. So yeah, I'd love to hear the things that work for you if you want to get in touch. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode left you feeling more informed, confident, and encouraged on your sleep journey. And just a reminder before you go that nothing in this episode is individualized to your specific sleep situation, nor is it to be taken as medical advice. Take what resonates, ignore what doesn't, and check with your healthcare provider about any medical concerns. Take a moment to subscribe to this podcast so that you'll never miss an episode. And take a moment to rate, review, or share an episode you love on social media. All of that helps parents just like you find me, this podcast, and this gentle and responsive sleep information. I'll see you next time.